Ever had 300 angry neighbors show up at your gate ready to tear you apart because you turned off their water? Yeah, me neither. Not until one summer so hot it felt like the sun was gunning for me personally, and all I wanted was a few quiet months back at my old man's ranch. But that's how it started, me minding my business, and the next thing I know, a whole shiny new subdivision had quietly buried a pipeline straight into my creek. Didn't even bother to call. So, you know what I did? I shut off the valve. Just closed it right there in the middle of a Texas heat wave. And that, my friend, is how you get 342 homes bone dry by breakfast. Now, what nobody in those houses knew, they'd built their little kingdom on my water. Literally. The deed, the rights, all of it mine. But let me back up, because you've got to feel the heat in this valley to really understand. Imagine the Texas sun pounding down so hard it bleaches the sky, turns the dirt into a living thing, and makes every sound echo like it's the last one you'll ever hear. Cattle stand frozen in the shade. Cicadas scream like they're trying to warn you off, and down by the creek, all you hear is the slow grind of a steel wheel. That morning my hands were steady as I twisted the red valve. The pipe under my boots gave a single shudder, and then quiet. I could already see the shimmer draining from the ditches running toward Cedar Mesa Estates, this fancy subdivision where my family used to cut hay. Sprinklers started choking and dying, mid-spin lawns left steaming in the heat. Felt like closing a door that should have never been opened. For weeks, the HOA folks had been pumping water through my land without so much as a neighborly hello. I'd tried being polite. Letters, calls, a half day in their marble lobby, none of it mattered. They just kept running their comfort straight out of my creek. So I decided to end the party. Didn't take long for the cavalry to arrive. Tires crunched up my drive white SUV, flinging gravel and chickens alike. Out steps Bethany Whitfield, HOA president herself. Pastel blouse heels, clipboard the works. Looked about as comfortable as a cat at a dog show. "Mr. Remy," she called out, striding through the dust shoes sinking into the sand. "What on earth do you think you're doing?" I just wiped my hands on my jeans. "Managing my water." She was already snapping. "You've cut off supply to hundreds of homes. Kids, old folks, you can't just..." She had these cold, bright eyes, sharp as glass. You ever meet someone who's just used to getting their way? That was Bethany. I told her straight. "Funny, I don't see your name on the deed." She started getting red, talking about community infrastructure rights, and the pipeline's been there for years. I just said, "Yeah, without permission. County records right there if you want to check." Walked right past her. She followed, voice rising with the heat. "This is harassment. I'll call the sheriff, the county, the state." I stopped at the top step, looking out over my valley-dry ditches, rows of cookie-cutter roofs, their fancy lake already going still. Looked like a puddle from up here, honestly. "You might want to ask where your water really comes from," I told her. She looked at me, papers blowing all over the yard, not sure if I was threatening her or just stating a fact. I watched her chase the papers, heels slipping, voice cracking in the heat. Didn't help. Why would I? The air felt lighter when she was gone. She finally pulled herself together, gave me a look sharp enough to peel paint, and said, "You're making a serious mistake. Actions have consequences." I just nodded. "So I've heard." She left in a cloud of dust, and I stood there letting the quiet settle back in. I knew the phone would ring soon. Lawyers, officials, maybe the sheriff. But for now, honest silence. Finished my tea, looked at the sun glinting off the metal valve. "Let's see who misses the water first," I muttered. A couple weeks earlier, all of this was unthinkable. The ranch was green from spring rain mornings, still cool mist on the creek. I'd just come back from Austin, closing up my dad's last affairs. Told myself it was just a break, a few months, maybe rent the place out. But stepping onto that porch after a decade gone, no way I was leaving again. My dad's old hat was still on its nail, kitchen smelled of cedar and dust. Window looked out over the same pasture where I learned to drive. Felt less like coming home, more like picking up a half-finished conversation. That's when the first envelope came. Thick white gold lettering, Cedar Mesa Estates Homeowners Association. Looked like junk until I saw my name in blue ink. "We'd like to welcome you to our community, invite you to our summer meet and greet at the Lakeside Pavilion. Attendance encouraged for new property owners." Signed, Bethany Whitfield, President. My mom, knitting at the table, heard me laugh. "What's so funny? Looks like we've been promoted." I waved the letter. HOA next door thinks we're part of their kingdom. She just shook her head. Your father used to get those. He always said the only thing worse than a drought was neighbors who want to own your well. I decided to go just for curiosity. Harm wears perfume, I guess. Saturday came with the hum of generators and the lake gleaming fake and blue, dozens of folks in crisp clothes sipping wine under white tents. I showed up in my best jeans, parked my old Ford between two Teslas. Regretted it instantly. Bethany was on me in seconds, tall, blonde, moving through the crowd like she owned the place. Her handshake was cool, her smile all teeth and calculation. This is Preston Hale, our community developer, she said, introducing a guy in a suit, sweating through his shirt. We're hoping to talk about how your land fits into our long-term plan. She led me out by the lake. We'd like to purchase your property, she said, like she was offering me a handshake. Nature park, maybe a golf course? The offer's generous. She named a number. I laughed out loud. Ma'am, that wouldn't fix half my fences. Her smile went brittle. Sentiment is nice, but practicality's better. You're a tech guy, you see the value. I just stared at the lake, listening to the sprinklers. You're looking at the wrong side of it. She leaned in. It's always better to work with the HOA than against it. Makes life easier. I set my cup down. I'll risk it. She squeezed my arm real soft. Your father said the same once. Eventually he understood. That line stuck with me all the way home. That night I dug through Dad's old files, 15 violation notices from the same HOA, each one claiming he'd mismanaged water, let the place go to weeds. He'd written, "No jurisdiction, keep for record on every one." I realized then this wasn't some new fight. It was just my turn. In the morning I called up my old friend Marcus. "Still got your survey gear?" He laughed. "You fixing fence or starting a war?" "Not sure yet," I said. "But somebody's drawn the wrong lines." We spent the day tracing the fence, sweat pouring, the hot wind full of flies. Down by the creek the posts looked new, too new. Fresh creosote soil all turned up. "Dad never replaced anything down here," I said. Marcus checked the map. 5 feet east of the creek. Anything past, that's yours. We set up the tripod, measured twice. Turns out they'd buried a pipeline 27 feet inside my property. When I knelt, I could feel its steady mechanical hum. Marcus scraped at the dirt metal glinting beneath. "Pipeline," he said. "They ran it straight from your creek." My jaw clenched. "They're stealing water." We followed that line right up to the greenbelt, took photos, marked coordinates, everything. "Going to the sheriff?" Marcus asked. "Eventually," I said, "but first I want someone who knows the law better than a badge." So I took it to Sarah Coleman, the sharpest attorney I know, and a hell of a poker player back in college. She scrolled through the photos, got real quiet. "This isn't just trespass, Jake. It's theft, and a bold one. If they're pulling water, they're violating state code, probably lying on permits too. Document everything." I nodded. "But I want to handle this right. No shouting, just facts." She smiled. "HO. As like to act big, but the law is bigger. Call me if anyone crosses your line." That night I sat by the creek water, running quieter than usual. I dipped my hand in cool and thin, drawn too fast. "You drilled into the wrong man's land," I whispered. Somewhere a sprinkler coughed and died. Next morning I loaded the evidence, drove to the HOA office. Citrus cleaner, new carpet, felt like another planet. The receptionist looked at me like I'd tracked manure in. "Do you have an appointment, sir?" "I reckon I do now," I said. "Tell Ms. Whitfield Jake Remy's here about her pipeline." I was led to a glass-walled conference room. Bethany sat at one end, cream blouse pin poised, her lawyer beside her. "Mr. Remy, we were just discussing you," she purred. I set my folder on the table. Didn't sit. "I'm sure you were. Thought I'd save you the trouble." Lawyer started talking about misunderstandings and utility easements going back decades. I slid the photo across. "Looks simple to me. That's my land. That's your pipe." Bethany didn't blink. "That's community water management. We have rights." I laughed. "Funny, the county records don't say that." "You got a copy?" Her lawyer stalled. "These things take time. Your father cooperated in the past." I leaned in. "My father didn't sign a damn thing. He fought you for years." The room went still. Bethany tried one last smile. "Maybe you'd rather negotiate than accuse. There's still an open offer for your land. There's not enough money in Texas to make me sell, I said. Her tone dropped. These disputes can get messy. Attorneys, environmental boards, it'd be a shame if your ranch fell under review. Lawyer gave a fake chuckle. She's just saying litigation's not fun. I closed my folder. I'm not afraid of paperwork. You've got 72 hours to get that pipeline out or you'll be talking to the sheriff. As I left, she called after me. Your father learned the hard way. The HOA always gets what it needs. I stopped. Maybe he learned something else too. That night I told my mom. She just nodded. They've been after this land for years. Your daddy said they'd never stop until someone called their bluff. I looked out at the fence shimmering in the heat. Guess it's my turn. I sat down, wrote everything out, dates, photos, reports, sealed it for Sarah. Then I walked the fence-lined boots on dry earth, feeling the faint vibration of stolen water beneath. By the third day, the air felt heavy, like the whole valley was waiting. I sat on my porch, deadline ticking away in my head. And then at 2:17 a.m., the security cam in my birdhouse switched on 2 pickup trucks, men with flashlights digging by the south pasture. I watched, listened as Brad, the HOA's facility manager, called Bethany. We're here boosting the line like you wanted. They dug, installed a new pump. Before they left, Brad shined his flashlight right at my camera. She'll be happy, he said. Idiot. I sent the footage to Sarah, caught them red-handed. Her reply, that's perfect, Jake. We'll file tomorrow. But tomorrow trouble had already found me. Rumors flying I was selling to a mining company building a waste plant. Old Mrs. Finley at the diner looked at me like I'd grown horns. Then the county inspector showed up. Anonymous complaint. Environmental violation. Gotta check your tanks. He poked around, found nothing. Lot of noise about you in Cedar Mesa. Folks say you're digging new wells. I just smiled. Folks say a lot. When I got back, the front gate was hanging, crooked mailbox, spray-painted sell or dry. My mom stood on the porch, arms folded, mad enough to chew nails. They did this in daylight, she said. I knelt to the bent metal. Let them. Water's still running for now. She touched my shoulder. Jake, they think power's theirs because nobody's ever outlasted them. I looked up. Then they're about to find out. That night, the ranch was alive, engines whining, HOA's lights glowing on the horizon, all that comfort built on my water. I sat at my dad's desk, adding pages to his old ledger, dates, recordings, everything. Marcus stopped by close to midnight. They won't quit, you know. I poured him black coffee. Neither will I. He grinned. You're your father's son. The next morning I went to the county records office, folder in hand. Need to see everything on mission, draw the spring feeding the creek. Dave Wilson, the water board chairman, rolled out an old map. Still registered as public headwater, but rights lapsed years back. Board's going to auction next month, so right now nobody owns it. Legally open for reassignment. I filled out every form, signed every page. By lunch, I owned the spring that fed Cedar Mesa. Power shifts, quiet, you know. Not with noise, with signatures. Sarah showed up that afternoon, legal documents in hand, smile on her face. You did it. You bought the source. We spread the survey map, checked every line. You control outflow and management now. Do it by the book, you're bulletproof. That's what we did, hired a crew, installed a new valve, documented every step, sent copies to Sarah for safekeeping. When the heat hit 103 degrees, I sat on the porch, iced tea, sweating in my hand, remote in my pocket. At noon, I pressed the button. Down in the canyon, the creek slowed. Fountains at Cedar Mesa coughed and died. Texts started pouring in. Whole neighborhoods, dry news vans out front. By sundown, SUVs crawled down my road, some folks glaring, some honking. I'd posted a notice, private water source inspection and calibration. No unauthorized use. Sarah called. You realize what you did, right? Followed the law, I said. Yeah, she laughed. But you also made 300 people realize who's been paying for stolen water. That night, Bethany and a crowd of neighbors marched up to my fence, megaphone and all. Turn on our water, Mr. Remy. You're endangering lives. I raised my phone, red light blinking. Might want to save that line for the news. She screamed about heroes and villains. You think you're a hero? You're destroying this community. I stepped up to the fence. No, ma'am. I'm exposing one. For a second, nobody moved. Then someone shouted, He's lying. But a tired-looking woman whispered, But is he? Mike Hansen, one of their own, stepped forward. Bethany, What about the water fees? We've been paying extra. Where's that money going? She froze. Mike, not now. It's exactly the time. You promised water independence. So why are we dry? That was all it took. The crowd started unraveling. Reporter's van rolled up, caught Bethany stammering. When the reporter asked if I cut the water, I looked right at the camera. No, ma'am. I regulated water flow on land I own. The same water that's been stolen for years. Ask your HOA president where her paperwork is. The silence said it all. After the crowd left, I sat on the porch, crickets singing. Sarah texted, "You're trending. Public opinion's turning." I listened to the Seacus, the empty pipes in Cedar Mesa. The heat wave had broken more than just a pipeline. It broke their illusion of control. The city called an emergency meeting. Courtroom packed, news vans, angry neighbors, city officials. Bethany's lawyer produced a clean easement signed by my dad. I didn't even blink. Sarah pulled out the Real Records County seal, verified signatures, proof the notary listed had retired before that date. Their easement was a forgery. The room erupted. Dave from the water board flipped on a projector spreadsheets, HOA water fees, hundreds of thousands missing, all traced to Bethany's own shell company. Bethany tried to deny it. Administrative expenses, she stammered. I looked her in the eye. You called me a criminal, but you're the one breaking the law. The mayor slammed his gavel, suspended the HOA's control, appointed an interim board. As I walked out, Sarah whispered, "You just made the evening news, Jake." "Let them talk," I said. "Truth finally has a microphone." I thought it was over. But 3 days later, I got a letter. State Environmental Protection, urgent notice, chemical contamination in Mission Draw Creek. All flow to be suspended. I checked the creek clear, no smell, no dead fish. But news vans were back reporting industrial pollutants downstream of Remy Ranch. I knew instantly Bethany or one of her people. Sarah pulled records, state lab tests done by Thomas Green, the same inspector who'd hassled me before, called in off the books by the HOA. We called in independent testers, chain of custody and all. Results. Water upstream perfectly clean. Contamination only in Cedar Mesa's stretch chemicals bought days before delivered to Bethany's address. Sheriff showed up with a warrant. They found everything, falsified reports, receipts, the works. That night, the valley slept easy. Headlines everywhere, HOA president arrested in water fraud and environmental crime case. Bethany's mugshot was all over town. Sheriff McKay's words rang out. The law may flow slow, but it always finds level ground. I folded